Furthermore, right, David, the city of Kilkenny is owned by the people of Kilkenny. The Central Access Scheme, I went up on the bridge just by accident when all that thing was happening. But can I just say, basically, I didn't, now that I see the whole thing unfolding before my eyes, I realise, first of all, I would see that it's perverseness that the ring road wasn't finished at a cost of 15 million. Crossing in the northern part, because I always said to the contractors, you're building the bridge in the wrong place. The ring road should have connected the hospital and all the commercial processes. There was 10,000 people. Number two, the commerciality of the way commercial minds think. It's the linking and the long term. Because the linking and the long term, the Mart site, the new cinema, the way the new cinema company were asked to sign in for the road. It was really suspect the way they were asked to sign in for the road. I always said, let them build the Central Access Scheme. Make it ugly. Put ugly railings. Create traffic chaos. Because the more chaos, the better. Because as Duncan Stewart said, and he's been all over the world, he said, we're building a 1960 style project in 1916 when you don't bring cars into a city. The tourists who come to Kilkenny don't come into Kilkenny to see Central Access Schemes. Okay. They come and, one final point.
Quickly,
in Rome 2 or 3 years ago, I met this guy. He's the third in the world in the Franciscans. And he said the Francis Abbey site, as regards the Franciscans, was one of the most important after Assisi in the world. It was built 30 years. The cultural ineptitude that's been going on here and the contempt for the beauty of the medievalness is unbelievable.
Okay, thank you very much. Chap here to my left. Yeah. Sorry, your name?
Michael.
Michael.
I just want to make the point, I'll be quick. When David was talking about a 60-40 split, the statistic he didn't mention, which is the reason we're all here, is that 0% of it is under the control of the people in this room and the people who are paying for it and the people who have voted for your colleagues in the council. And we just heard from the council representatives themselves, they have no control over it either.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Enya was next.
It was just, it's to do with the actual funding of the site. I had heard that there was going to be assets would have to be sold as part of the funding for the site. So I sent an email to Martin Prentival just asking him to list what had been sold or what would be sold in order to fund this. And I'll just read very briefly his answer to me.
Sorry, just to explain, when Enya says assets, she's referring to the document in which it's made clear that Kilkenny County Council intends to sell some of its assets, some of the things that it owns, in order to fund the 4.5 million phase 1 development on the site. Enya.
Okay, so the answer that I got from Martin was, Dear Enya, there are a number of potential opportunities being evaluated. Having regard for the future needs of the council, any proposed disposals will have to be considered by the elected members in the first instance. Regards. And really, my email asked just for a list. I didn't ask were they independently valued or anything else. It was simply to provide me with a list of assets held by Kilkenny County Council. So I don't know if any of the elected members here are anyone.
They're not going to tell us.
Anyway, sorry. Now, thank you, Enya, for that. Catherine, did you have your hand up? No.
It's not going to. Sorry.
Right. Okay. Sorry.
Do you want to come up here, Catherine? Because I can't move with this. It's not long enough.
Oops. Kathleen Function said.
Here. Take this.
Yeah. Kathleen Function said.
Sorry.
Right, Catherine Larkin. I was a planner with the council in the 1990s and very much enjoyed the time I was there. Great time for the people who worked there with me. Kathleen was saying that we may not know exactly how to go forward from here, but different people can do different things. So I'm a planner, so I have just the last few weeks been doing the planning things that I could see could be done. So one of the things I've done is referred, sent to On Board Planola information on all of the different Part 8 developments that are taking place, and asked them, as any person is entitled to, ask the board to review them to see is an EIS, an environmental impact statement, required for them. And in my view, it very definitely is, but we have to wait and see what the board says about it. Another person has also referred the brewhouse development to On Board Planola, because when you look at what's going on with this development, it's very rich on artist impressions and 3Ds and models and vision statements, and it's not very solid on planning. Very little discussion of the contamination of the site and the flood risk of the site as well. Very few people are aware, even the OPW, who have the say on the National Monument, weren't aware until I spoke to them that there's a proposal to raise the level of the ground all around the Abbey and right across the site above the flood level. But the punchline is they want to leave it dipped around the Abbey so that the displaced floodwater will settle there. But that's why a proper planning process is needed for this, and less, big visions, big glossy 3Ds, and more proper work on planning the site to make it right for the site it is instead of the site people would like it to be. And to respect the surroundings that it's in as well. And some people think that environmental impact just means the pearl mussels, which we all know and love out there in the north. But it does also mean the visual aspects and the connections and the scale and the grain of the city and the materials, the limestone of the city. And how is that all going to be integrated into whatever is built there? At the moment, not at all, going by the drawings. So I kind of get flashes the whole time when I'm thinking about this process, about the past. And one project I think of is the canal. I'm sure a lot of people know about the Kilkenny Canal, that sort of got built in the 18th century with a huge Borough Council of the Day project. They all had big round eyes about what great people they were to be doing it. But they were trying to build a canal from New Ross up to the quay here, and the guy who did the job, without them being aware of it, dragged the boats up with horses. Canal was never properly built, but they had to pay him because he had delivered on the contract that they had signed. And then Fieldcrest. Now, Fieldcrest people wanted the best for the city, but they took in a huge factory, much too big for the city. Hundreds of people went to work in it, and when it closed, 6 months later, devastation. Some people never worked again because the whole labour market was awash with unemployed people. And now we have Ferrybank Shopping Centre. So people with the big visions need also to do the groundwork, because it can go horribly wrong. And I can see all kinds of signs about this going horribly wrong. I mean, the very idea of having a huge, glossy business park with no car parking spaces anywhere within 15 minutes walk, it's just for the birds. So there's a lot of work that can be done, I think, even though the vote today was a serious vote, and I don't fully understand the legal implications. Is there a solicitor in the House? That's what we need really. Here are some good legal heads to prize, did that vote actually commit the council to a sale? Because if it did, it possibly wasn't done legally, because there's in the Local Government Act, it says that the elected members are entitled to have all the plans, particulars, details, agreements in their hands 10 days before they vote, and that definitely didn't happen. And when a councillor here asked for that information, was given a fudge of an answer. So I think legal advice is needed, and if there's any way that between everyone we could find some, that would be a good thing. And I propose to just continue doing what I'm doing, which is work on the planning aspects, but I know talking to councillors and studying the documents, really working out what it all means, so you can explain it to people you meet. And I think there are different avenues that can be taken, whether it's to go to the door or to go to On Board Planola in my case, or to write to the NTMA. or to go to the Ombudsman if you're not happy with the way the council is doing its business. But just to do whatever you can do, and speak to all your neighbours and speak to everybody else as well. I would much rather all this energy in the room was going into us piling over there and saying, how can we develop the brew house into something fantastic, you know? But we might yet get to that point, so I hope so anyway. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Catherine. Anybody else?